This is something I like to ask guests because, as I've said previously, I think too many young people, they're getting out of high school, they're making decisions about whether they're going into the workforce or whether they're going to college. And then if they choose college, they a lot of times they'll put a lot of thought into where they're going to college. Okay. So I want to know, why did you choose the illustrious Jackson State University?
Great question. Actually, Jackson State. I mean, first of all, why not? I mean, if you're gonna definitely choose an HBCU, why not choose Jackson State University?
Mhm.
But the way I ended up choosing Jackson State University, of course, like you stated, I'm from Canton. I went to Canton High School. And while I was there, I used to hear about Jackson State. There was big fans of Jackson State. People used to argue about the band, football between Alcorn and you always had, the bickering back and forth.
Mhm.
And so I just used to hear about it because I grew up in the rural, right? So I didn't get a chance to attend. Go to many of the games because my family, that wasn't the lane that my family was in. I'm only the third person uh to graduate from a 4-year university, in my family, and all the rest of them was cousins who may have been 5 to 10 years older than me.
Mhm.
So the path wasn't as smooth as most high school students were now or is. So what happened? I did have an auntie that lived in Jackson off Terry Road, and they used to have some apartments. And
Mhm.
so I was big into wrestling, like Mid-South wrestling with the Junkyard Dog, Kamala, those type
Yeah.
you remember those days.
Yeah.
So I used to beg my mother to take me down there to I wanted to go see wrestling because I knew that they probably would go. And
Okay.
when I was there at those apartments, I used to hear the band, like, man, what's that? And so I said, TT. I said, what is that? They tell me that it's a college back there. And Jackson State. You know what I'm saying? And so it was right there in my backyard. And at this time, man, I'm talking, I'm young. I'm 4 or 5 years old. And so and a quick story one time about how big the game was around me. I remember we used to have this choir practice on Saturdays
Mhm.
at my church. And my family and I, we all got, we got together. We went to choir practice. No one
Mhm.
was there. The choir director, no other choir members, no one else was there. And it was Saturday. And man, Jack State were playing Southern. And we saying like, we're not having choir practice because everybody's going to go to the game. And I'm like, why would somebody not have choir practice to go to a football game? It's only a game, not knowing the magnitude of
Yeah.
that game and the significance of what was going on. So that was kind of my story about as far as just knowing about Jackson State as a young man. But as I got up, I started hearing about it, understanding the boom, understanding, hearing about Walter Payton, start hearing about some of the greats that was there, like Jimmy Smith and the great quarterbacks and stuff that we had coming through. And I started listening to it on the radio. My auntie, started listening to it on the radio. We'll come to Jackson. I'll see all the lights and stuff. I was like, man, that must be a big deal, you know? And so still, I was just kind of like, okay. Wasn't really and I'm gonna be honest about what I say because this is the only way I know how to be because I feel that I tell my story could help someone else that may have been in the situation.
Mhm.
Never really vetted or pushed to go to college. That conversation is it's kind of like thrown out there, like, hey, you need to go to college to do this, and in order to get a good job, to better yourself, you got to go to college. But it wasn't a situation where respectfully, like it was kind of ingrained.
Mhm.
I grew up in a single parent home, and my mother, did factory work, So that just something that wasn't, that was there.
Mhm.
What was leading me and guiding me first was the game of football.
Mhm.
So um I know the counselor was talking to me and the coach was talking to me. So what I learned about um college, athletics, HBCU, Jackson State, Alcorn, Valley, those schools were through talking to coaches and counselors and friends. And I did have a cousin to attend Valley. I went up there when I was a kid, when she was there, and that was one of the three that I was telling you that graduated.
Mhm.
Of course, she didn't finish at Valley. She ended up finishing at Tougaloo.
Okay.
But so that was, and so as I continued to play the game, started getting recruits and stuff, but it led me to Holmes Community College.
Okay. Okay.
And from there, I played a year. And man, I played with some great players. And I mentioned before, and I just have to say this because their name deserved to be mentioned. I'm very honored that I had a chance to play with the great offensive lineman from Seattle Seahawks, Walter Jones, and the cornerback that played for the Baltimore Ravens, Dwayne Starks.
Mhm.
I had the chance to play on the team with some of those guys. Matter of fact, I was even on the team with one of our former he just transferred out, was Isaiah Spencer, his father. He and I played offensive line together.
Oh.
But as that year completed, I mean, and we were ranked, we were good first. I mean, we were nationally ranked, and then the wheels fell off. I don't
Mm.
know what happened. We losing a few games, but going into my second year, I got injured.
Mhm.
Um, just never really had that support first. Um, just from you know the way things were, just never really had a strong backing. My mom did a great job in raising me, but far as like a lot of outside stuff, the college, the football, the supporting on those type of things, man, I had to get it out the mud. I had to grind. It was challenging. It was hard, but I never quit. Um,
Mhm.
but then sometimes when you trying and you striving to get where a place where people are talking to you about good moves, good decisions, um, you have a tendency of just really pushing it. Then when those things start to not go as people say, then you lose confidence. You
Mhm.
know, but what happened, I ended up getting injured,
Mhm.
playing ball at home, going to my second year, and just kind of lost the lust for it. But then
What
I was
type of injury was it?
I ended up tearing up my knee,
Okay.
and I was like, okay. So I became a commuter student, did that for a little while. I was studying business administration. Then I said, okay, you know what? I want to play again. So end up having to go to the doctor because first I wasn't taken care of the way I needed to on the field. I'm gonna be honest with you, but that's neither here nor there. Nevertheless, I ended up going to the doctor, um, looking to get my knee repair. I said, okay, well, you know what? I want to try to walk on at Jackson State, and had the knee surgery, got it repaired. Lo and behold, first timeline right, uh, about 6 months to a year later, man, I ended up being in a bad car wreck, and that was it. So um, again, I'm in disarray, really not knowing which way to go, guidance, but with the morals and values that was instilled in me with God's will, I continued to just work because I knew how to grind, man. I grew up, in the fields, you
Mhm.
know, um, you know, uh, we grew our food. we farmed on the land. So I just continued to work, ended up transferring um to homes and continued to take class. And then I was like, okay, well, the major I was in, I really started looking at it. And then I wanted to get into another program. So I transferred to Hines, finished at Hines.
Mm-hmm.
There, man. I transferred to Jackson State. And that's where I end up finishing my 4-year degree. I am so honored and glad that you know I made that decision. I attended the I love, and it's a family. So that's how I got to Jackson State. It was a long road. And of course, it's more meat into the story. But I got there, I never quit. And regardless of the time frame that it took or what I had to do, I never gave up.
Mm-hmm.
And so hope I can be an inspiration to somebody else, because there's a lot of people out there first, that a lot of young people who feel like they don't have any guidance and don't know where to go or what to do. So they settle for, whatever job, they get. I mean, especially when you're dealing with a lot of kids and, in the rural, who that's not exposed to a whole lot. It tend to be a little different.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of inner city kids get a chance to travel and know about this and know about that, and have cousins and uncles and friends, and different that able to take them places. Like you hear the players. Some people talking about, hey man, I always attended games there. We had season passes. That was it didn't happen for me like that.
Yeah.
So, but I never stopped. I never stopped.